Hey folks, I was previously recording and I ended up hitting the keyboard, so stop the recording. And I'm cheap. I just used the one that comes with Windows. Okay, so my review of the Red Book of Magic continues with Sea Spells Part 2. This will be a short one on purpose because lots of new spells for these 2 pages. Okay, first one is Community, which is kind of a cool spell. You cast it upon members of a community, which is very nebulous, right? But it provides, or guarantees rather, rapid and easy communication of ideas and facilitates sharing of new and troubling thoughts. Does not aid in things like spell teaching and mental spells and mind reading, that kind of stuff. It doesn't do that. Just communication, right? So every individual within range, we're talking about 160 meters, right? All communication skills are automatically successful, but still roll a dice because it's important to know if it's a special or critical. For 2 purposes. One, it's a special or critical, but secondarily, you can only get that communication check mark if it is a special or critical because you have that automatic success. It does bring to mind to me, does automatic success mean that a 96 and above does not fail? That's a system mechanic. I don't know. Okay. Conquer Beast increases the caster's effective power by half again for offensive and defensive spirit combat. There's only one spirit combat. It's an opposed roll. There is no offensive and defensive. And spell resistance. Okay, that's kind of cool. Especially if you got like a shaman who's doing the spirit combat kind of stuff, right? Okay, it is only effective against 4-footed mammals and beast spirits. So I can see the definite effect for beast spirits, but do you really need that help in spell resistance against mammals, 4-footed mammals? Although maybe if you did that other spell that turns people into animals or animals into people or whatever. Includes riding animals, wolves, etc. They're all 4-footed mammals, right? Okay, so non-humans like trolls, centaurs, and elves are not considered beasts. Both baboons and morocantha are. Interesting. Okay, I can see that. If a shaman casts a spell, only his power gains the bonus. The fetch does not. But a fetch can cast the spell. Can't fetch just cast rune magic? I didn't think about that. That just occurred to me. I have to look that up. Or if somebody knows, let me know. I don't see why not offhand. But okay. In any case, shaman's power. Okay, consume. When the caster overcomes. Oh, also meant to mention this conquer beast spell feels more like a spirit spell to me than a beast spell. That's the rune associated with it. But as I talk through it more, it is focused on beasts, even though it's beast spirits as well, even though it's spirit combat, even though it's spells. Okay. Consume. You overcome the target's power. You do a D3 damage to a random location. Ignores armor. Well, ignores physical armor, so I'm assuming the magical armor then does still protect. And then during subsequent turn melee rounds, during the bookkeeping phase, right at the end, the target makes a power times 5 roll. If he's successful, okay. If he fails, he takes another D3 damage to that same location. And this process continues until either the hit location is completely destroyed, turning into gray slime, or the victim succeeds in a power times 5 roll. So once you make that power times 5 roll, it stops affecting. Now, counter magic and similar spells work against the initial casting of the spell, but initial casting actually cancels with counter magic if it actually affects the spell, right? If your counter magic works, the spell is canceled. So why would you have subsequent effects? I don't quite follow that. Because it says it does not block damage after the first melee round. Dismiss magic and dispel magic or similar spells can cancel the process. Well, isn't that what counter magic is? A similar spell? I'm not quite tracking on that one. Okay. Damage can be healed only. Okay, that single hit location per casting. So you can do multiple castings and hit different locations. I would assume you would roll the hit location table, which again, for me and my Glorantha, we use the missile magic location chart in addition to the melee one. And each additional rune point stacked decreases the target's power times 5 roll to take damage by 25%. Holy cow. To a minimum of 5%. So if power times 5. Never mind. I was thinking, what about this limit of 4 kind of thing? It says, additional stacked points do not affect the initial power versus power roll. Well, obviously, because stacked points reduces the power times 5 roll. I don't know. There's some confusion on this one. All right. Consume mind. Oh, also meant to mention. What is it one point? Something else later on. Okay. Yeah, next one. Okay, so consume mind. This is I thought it was the first one. A most powerful, or most dangerous spell. Okay, drains the totality of the target's memory, transfers all that to the caster's mind. Makes me think that maybe this might be a Thanatari spell. Turns the victim into a mental vegetable. Okay, it can only be cast on a holy day. Takes an entire week to perform. So, do you start on a holy day or do you end on holy day? I would say you end on holy day. The caster takes 3d6 damage in casting the spell, which can be healed only. Okay, once the caster overcomes the target's power, things happen. Okay, if you fail, the entire ritual fails. If you fumble, you collapse into a catatonic trance for 1d6 weeks. Okay, back to success. If you succeed, the caster may learn any or all of the target's spirit magic, sorcery, or rune spells. I would make this an and because of everything else it can do, right? And here's another and here is an and obtains the target's rune points. That's one way to take somebody. Well, turn them to a vegetable. It wouldn't be much of a slave even that would they? Because in my campaign we've discussed. I take somebody's slave who's got spirit magic and rune magic and all this other stuff, right? Now there's the Morocanthe slave bracelet things, but holy cow, those are expensive. It's not something you want to use normally. And in the game I play in, because one of the players in my game is a GM. One of my players in my game is GM for the game I play in. And in his version, but he doesn't do Glorantha, it's just fancy earth kind of stuff. In his version, you can only regain magic points if the body is actually resting. So if you're beating your slave and stuff, they're not going to get their magic points back. And if they're fatiguing and not getting fed well, they're not going to get their magic points back. That kind of stuff, which is interesting. Okay, so all such rune points cannot be replenished by the caster if he's not a member of the cult. Again, rune points are cult specific. That only makes sense. Okay, the caster can also gain knowledge and magic skills that the victim has at a higher level than the caster's own. Cool. There is a whole process for this, right? You have to make a series of experience check rolls, right? And as long as you continue to make those rolls, you continue to increase up until the victim's skill level, right? But once you fail in that process, you don't make any more rolls. Okay, caster may also learn other skills other than knowledge and magic skills, but you only get one experience check roll for each of those. And again, that skill cannot be higher than the caster's. Well, it's not. This is new, right? When you do other skills, it cannot be increased higher than your intelligence, the caster's intelligence times 5, or the victim's skill, whichever is lower. Has no effect on Priest of Lancromai. If it's accidentally cast on such, still roll in case you fumble. Okay, Control Flood, 3-point spell, right? This spell takes an hour to cast. It contains the water in a 20-meter, piece of stretch of river, and for each additional rune point you stack with it, up to 4, doubles area effect. Okay, is this 4 points part of the 3 it takes to cast initially? And I just remember most of the stackable spells I'm familiar with are 1-point spells. So 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Shield, right? Stack it up. And a whole bunch of other ones. But there is a 2-point spell earlier on. I forgot how it was, but it was also stackable. So each additional point, right? So it's a 3 points to cast initially. If you add an additional stack point, you double the effect. Stack it again, double the effect. Stack it again. So it's quad 8 times. Stack it again 16 times. But that's 7 magic points or 7 rune points, right? Again, it's got that limit up to 4. Okay, conversion to chaos. Must be cast on a non-chaotic creature. They have to choose to accept it. It cannot be cast on a luminate or creature. Oh, a non-chaotic. Sorry. Must be cast on a non-chaotic creature. Wait a minute. How can, because it cannot be cast on a luminate or a chaos creature. It just doesn't work. Somebody's tainted with chaos. Automatically fails that case. Okay, so it gifts the target with a beneficial chaotic feature without automatically tainting them with chaos. Cool, or interesting rather. The target does have a chance to become chaotic. They receive a random feature. It lasts for 1 day, but they do not detect as chaotic. The feature is always beneficial. There's no mutation. So what's the chance of them becoming chaotic? Oh, okay, here we go. Last paragraph. The target, after all this is done, the target rolls percentile. If that roll is under 5%, which by definition means 4% or less, why that, I'm not sure. I would assume 5% or less, but it says under 5%. They become tainted with chaos and get a conversion side effect. There's a d6 worth of them, everything from gain 1d6 features for d6 days to you're permanently cursed with the curse of thread kind of thing. Fed. Okay, corruption. When you spell. If the caster overcomes a target's power on a resistance roll, the spell completely transforms the target. For the next 1d10 rounds, the target is warped and transformed into a gruesome chaos horror. There's some body horror for you. Okay, so you got d6 rounds of all this stuff happening, right? During this process, you roll 2d6 for each characteristic. If the number is odd, you subtract that number from the characteristic. If it's even, you add it to the characteristic, except for charisma. Charisma is always a subtraction. Obviously, if your characteristic is reduced to 0 or less, you die. If you survive the process, you get the chaos rune at 60%, or if you already have the chaos rune, you add 20%. Okay, divine intervention, which is the only way to halt the transformation, can in fact halt the transformation once it's begun. So you got d10 rounds to do your divine intervention. It prevents the target from being tainted by chaos if performed before the process has completed. I'm assuming by tainted by chaos, it means all of this stuff. Okay, counter chaos. This spell must be cast on a chaos monster of some sort. You overcome their power, and that spell cancels their chaos features. When the spell duration ends, their feature comes back, right? Okay, and it talks about, if they get extra bonus points for something, then those bonus points go away. If you get an extra limb, the limb actually goes away. Okay, it also affects those negative chaotic features like the Curse of Fed stuff. Oh, as well as temporary chaos features like if you're doing the conversion to chaos thing. Okay, does not affect chaotic or chaos abilities, like to harmonize for jackal bears, right? That's an ability. It's not a chaos feature. Okay, Kuvade, which does what it says. Okay, the pains and sickness of pregnancy affect the father of the unborn child. Both father and mother must consent to include in the spell. Must be cast the first season of pregnancy. It's kind of important to trolls because they have such difficulties with childbearing, especially when you talk about great troll birds or trollkin. Currently, having large numbers of multiple births is hard too. And that's where we will stop today. More next time. Happy gaming.